how can we best support mothers in the postpartum period? Looking at research, we see that there's 3 types of important supports that a mother needs. And patients will often tell me in their preconception or during their pregnancy period that there's a bunch of people that will usually offer, we can help with this, we can help with that. So I want to discuss what are the important types of supports that are needed for a postpartum mother, so that before baby's born, you can have these conversations with family members, with friends, so it's very clear on who's providing what type of important and crucial support. The first type of valuable support that postpartum mothers really benefit from is obviously emotional support. So there's a lot of changes happening in that postpartum period, and it's important to have that tribe and that support from family members or your dedicated designated person that's there to provide emotional support there, that would basically help cultivate an environment of love, of caring, understanding that they're there to support that postpartum mother in whatever way they need, and just reminding them that that there is an environment of caring and supporting, that they're not alone going through this process. The second type of support that is very valuable is instrumental support. So this is all the day-to-day tasks that come with being in that postpartum period. So this could be services for hire. Again, it could be a designated family member or friend that comes in on a regular basis to help, but basically reducing that long list of things that need to be done on a daily basis so it can free up time for the parent to really have quality bonding time with the baby. It could also be helping with the baby with whatever tasks that need to be done. So, diaper changes, feeding, whatever it may be, but basically having someone to help out with the day-to-day tasks, and sometimes just helping so that the mother can get some extra hours of sleep, or could have, dedicated time to do another activity if they need to, or if they would like to. A third type of important support is informational support. So the informational support component is actually about healthcare and kind of more healthcare empowerment and education. So again, there's so many changes happening in that postpartum period. So we need to make sure we have proper supports to help ensure everything that's happening is healthy, normal, and if anything feels like it's not healthy or feels abnormal, that the mother has that support in place. So whether that's a healthcare provider, a nurse, or informational support, so having access to quality healthcare information. So that could be online resources, could be textbooks, whatever that may be, but basically to help decipher, if something doesn't feel right, to know when we need support and extra help or screening and what might actually be normal. And then obviously having access to healthcare providers that can help carry that out if they need to do additional testing or provide additional treatment in the postpartum period. And that could be for a variety of things. It could be simple as digestive issues, reflux, could be postpartum thyroid abnormalities, screening for mood disorders. So that list is very vast. It could be helping supporting baby as well with breastfeeding, things like infant colic, whatever that may be. So informational support is very important. And in my opinion, this is best derived from healthcare providers. So during your pregnancy and during the preconception period, it's not just about the labor, because a lot of parents have this thing, we have the healthcare provider, baby's born, we go home, and then we just, if we need something, we go to the pediatrician, but no one's looking at the mom. And we need to make sure there's that healthcare support for the mom as well. So whatever they need in those first 12 months, especially because there's a lot of hormonal changes and potentially autoimmune conditions that can flare up in the first 12 months, we need to make sure that support is there. I can't tell you the number of times I see new mothers who are 6-8 months into the postpartum period and their iron is like basically just above zero, to the point where they think the fatigue is all because of the sleep deprivation or because they're tired. They're incredibly anemic and no one's picking up on it because no one bothered to check. So we need to make sure that there's proper healthcare support for the mother as well as the child in that period. And there's specific interventions that have also been shown and suggested to be beneficial for mothers in that newborn period and postpartum period. And so this actually includes counseling with the partner. So there's a lot going on in the postpartum period already. So this is really best done before baby's here. So during the pregnancy, having counseling with the partner, with you, sitting down and making it very clear and what needs to be done, what are the expectations. And so this isn't something that needs to be discussed or conversed once baby's here, because you're going to be very busy during that time period anyways. So making sure you and your partner are on the exact same page and there's no issues with regards to what needs to be done on a day-to-day basis, what kind of supports we need, and what kind of supports are expected without having to be communicated on a daily basis. And And another type of support that can be beneficial is actually called interpersonal psychology. So there are studies showing that interpersonal psychology and counseling for the mother, again, in the preconception stage or potentially afterwards, can be quite beneficial as well. Internet support seems to have quite some value as well. So providing, a support community through the web that's positive, uplifting, informative, educational, and preferably, obviously, from an evidence-based perspective as well, seems to have quite important value in research for newborn mothers in the postpartum period there as well. So these are just an example of important supports and interventions to help support our newborn mothers. And I think this is a really important conversation to have with your family members, with your friends, because the most common thing I hear from patients is there's a plethora of people that kind of raise their hand and like, we're there for you, whatever you need, just let us know. But when we actually need the help, it's kind of hard to get that all organized and, who schedules what. So during the preconception phase, during the pregnancy phase, having your designated individuals and knowing, hey, like you're my designated emotional support person, you're my designated instrumental support person, these are my designated informational support people. So having it very clear in what you are expecting of your family members and friends, if you have that blessing of having that additional support, it'll make it a lot smoother for you in the postpartum period. So you don't have to go start, searching and asking. It's already very clear and laid out, and making sure you have a healthcare team, set up to care for you in the postpartum period as well. Another thing that seems to be very beneficial for mothers in the postpartum period are actually home visits from a healthcare provider as well, especially in those early weeks and days, but also throughout the months and years afterwards, making sure mom, like we mentioned earlier, has proper healthcare support to get the care she needs as well. Because yes, it's very important to care for baby, but also just as essential to make sure mother and mom is doing as good as possible.